Hi, I'm Dave Jones from Maverick Diagnostics, and I'm here today to show you a quick overview of the BMW AOS portal, specifically looking at the KaSIO online service history creation. So first of all, we start with locating the BMW portal, which is aos.bmwgroup.com. Once we've found that portal, we then simply log in with the user details that you will have created. Please note that this service is only available to workshop and business owners that are registered in the motor trade. Once we've logged in, we get the first landing page. It's good to see that BMW are now promoting the key reader desktop item, of which you can see here on our website at maverickdiagnostics.com. They also give a nice shortcut there for the readout of the vehicle key. And we will show the vehicle key readout in another video later on. But for now, we're just going to concern ourselves with a manual service history creation. So from the menu on the left-hand side, we go to All Applications. And from the Applications page, we find our KaSIO, our key and service information. From there, we need to scroll down the page until we see the visible Start option. We click the Start button, and this should open a separate tab across your internet browser. Please take a couple of seconds just to read the information on usage. Once you've read those details, hit the Continue button. Now we're faced with the actual key and service information identification screen. Now there are two ways in which this screen can be used. The first one is input with a vehicle chassis number. So you would need to manually input the full 17-digit VIN number, which is what we're going to do in this instance. Or the second alternative is to use the key reader identifier, of which we'd already just shown a picture of the desktop version here. Now, it's worth noting that the desktop version has to have a permanent USB connection at all times and ideally be connected to the machine that you're working on, as opposed to the Key Reader Plus, which is also needs a USB connection, but actually it can be portable. So the actual unit can be removed from the base and carried anywhere around the workshop with you. So you can actually read the key at the vehicle, and all that data will automatically be transmitted back to this portal. The key information, once it's read, will be listed under the brand, the color, and the total distance. So you can see at the moment there's no key data available. What will happen is once you read the key from the key reader, that information will be populated underneath those relevant boxes. But for now, we're just going to start with a manual identification. We're going to hit the search. Okay, and you can see now that the vehicle identified, it's given us the mileage up the top there in kilometers. And you will, unfortunately, only get basic information when you're inputting the vehicle manually, because of course, naturally, it cannot obtain the information from the vehicle that's read normally with the key. So all we will have is basic information such as the vehicle information, the model, the VIN number, the color, the engine, transmission details, and most importantly is this teleservices drop-down box. Here, this is really quite key and quite crucial to how the data is going to be transferred from the creation of the history back into the vehicle. So the most important thing to make note of is the box here that says service history via teleservices. If this has a yes at the side of it, it means that the data will automatically be transferred from the cloud once it's inputted and then directly back into the vehicle. In this instance, as it says no, what we would further need to do then to transfer that data is to physically start a diagnostic session on the vehicle with the BMW ICOM Next device. This will, of course, incur an additional cost. Typically, a 1-hour diagnostic connection fee is around €9–10. A few other things to note whilst you're looking at the screen is that it will also show optional equipment of the vehicle. So here you can see what equipment should be fitted to the vehicle and what things have been added as an optional extra, which can be quite useful when you're looking at ordering spare parts, etc. Finally, towards the bottom of the page is the vehicle history page. Here you can see all the vehicle repair history that's being carried out either at your local main dealer or at a specific independent who has the ability to create the service history. We can expand on these by just clicking on the plus symbols on the left hand side. So on this one here we can see that this was actually just to carry out a vehicle health check. The one underneath, now this is really quite interesting because this now shows the difference between reading the vehicle with a key reader and without a key reader. So with a key reader, you will get this nice traffic light sequence view with the mileages and the dates as well. And if I scroll a little bit further down the page, it'll actually give you as well the service counter. So here we can see that this particular vehicle has actually had a reset done on the oil on 3 separate occasions. So these are all good. These are all within the green. So that means that the vehicle was fine on that inspection. Anything that was overdue would automatically then be highlighted in red. If it's just require service and it's at the desired time, then of course that will fill in with an amber warning light. So this is quite interesting to get the overall vehicle history. And I'll show you this again once we've created a new entry. So that goes on to creating a new entry now in the service history. We have the 2 tabs across the top here, just underneath the BMW blue vehicle. One is to create a new entry in the service history, and the other is to create a repair history. So you can see here that a repair history has already been created. So that would be for things such as a health check and to record any manual job that's been carried out. It's also worth noting as well that the repair history can also be used and is advised to be used for a BMW the M4 run-in service. So of course the technical information, when you look at the bulletin on that, it tells you to actually perform a repair type event within the history log, so as to not upset the actual physical service history maintenance tab. So we go to create the entry in service history. We must obviously consent to storage of data before we are allowed to proceed with the accept box. Here, very, very important that we input the current mileage reading of the vehicle. Now it does ask us to input in kilometers. So again, another benefit of the key reader is the key reader data will automatically be taken from the key. So that current mileage will be taken directly and input there automatically. Otherwise, we're manually having to adjust the odometer reading here into kilometers. So of course, you need to know that conversion between miles and kilometers. The date of service. Now, again, it's worth noting that this can be changed to suit. Ideally, I think up to a maximum of 30 days is permitted. And then any remarks in here. So that may be things like the type of oil or the brand of oil that has been used. And any remarks that you want to note physically on the service record. If we're happy to proceed, then we hit the continue. And here now you can see, because we've not identified the vehicle with the key reader, all this information now is all just in grey boxes. All right, so there's nothing physically to tell me exactly what is required to be carried out on this particular service. All it's doing now here is asking me to tell it what we've physically done. It is worth noting as well, if you're not sure what the icons are, you're going to hover over each icon, so it tells you exactly the description for engine oil, fuel filter, the air filter, and the pollen filter. Again, these arrows indicate that these are linked services. We have our front brake pads, our brake fluid, our rear brake pads, our vehicle check, and again we have some additional icons not necessarily used in the UK market. So to tell it we've actually performed that particular function, what we do is we put a little tick in the box. So if I tick here now, this will say that I've changed the oil. This will tell me that I've changed the fuel filter, and of course the air filter and the pollen filter. If I'm happy with that selection, then I can just create the order entry. However, here's the really important thing. If we've identified that the transfer of history to the vehicle can be done via the teleservices, then you must tick this box here. Otherwise, if you don't tick that box, then the data will not be transmitted to the car. Because this particular vehicle doesn't support the transfer of data via teleservices, then of course it physically won't let me select this box here. We can then create the entry. And this is very, very important at this point here. Once you've created the entry, this is the only point within the software that you will get the opportunity to print the proof of maintenance report. So please make time to print out that proof of maintenance, because you can't then go back to it and print it later. So even if you're not going to provide it to the customer, at least just click here to print, scroll down the page. We will need to just change the sizing of the screen here, just so that we can see the visible print option towards the bottom of the page. So again, worth noting that sometimes you won't all automatically see the close and the print box window icon. You may have to resize your screen window. So a little bit of a top tip there. Click the print option, and even if you're not printing it, you can save it as a PDF type document. Save it against either the vehicle VIN number or the vehicle registration number, however you want to record it, so that you've got a reference back to it. So I'm just going to call it sample. I'm just going to call it sample service, just so I can find it later. And again, it's going to be saved in my downloads section. I'll show you what that looks like in a few seconds. So once we've done that, we can then close that window down. Okay, that will have now created the online service history within this portal. To physically view that that's been performed, we can then just refresh the page, continue. We can input our vehicle VIN number, search again. And if I just collapse all these little boxes here, I can jump straight to the history section. And here you can see our manual service input created by ourselves. Okay, you can see it's ticked with the relevant items that I've selected. So that is now an online service history record that we've created. It is worth noting, whilst we're looking at this here, that we have this little delete option button. So don't worry, guys, if you do make a mistake, then you can quite simply delete the entry. Now, it can only be deleted by the person that's actually created the entry. You can't then take it to another workshop with the BMW system and ask them to delete that service history for you. If the entry goes over 30 days, then the only way the history record can physically be amended or deleted is via BMW directly by raising a technical support request. So that is how to input an online service history in BMW. Thanks for watching.